Hello and welcome to the Kilobits. I am sat here today, well, not physically sat, more figuratively, with Pete Bottomley from White Paper Games. Hello, Pete.
Hey Toby, how are you doing today?
Doing pretty great. I'm in immense amounts of physical pain, but that is completely irrelevant.
Reason for that physical pain?
Not for any decent reason. We are going to be talking about Ether 1, or is it Ether 1, or?
Ether 1, yeah.
Ether 1.
Yeah.
Fair enough. So, it's a first-person adventure puzzle type jobby. Why don't you tell us about it?
Yeah, exactly. So like you said, first-person puzzle game. We're making it in the Unreal Engine. And it's got a heavy narrative background, delving into the human mind and dementia and like mental illness, stuff like that. And we're also playing with quite a hard but accessible style of gameplay. So I really like hard games, but I don't like trial and error based games, and I don't like necessarily control based skill.
Yeah.
So keyboard, mouse, stuff like that. So we don't want any timed elements in there. We don't want to push the player through the game in that way, but we want them to experience the narrative, take everything at their own pace. So we want a quite high level of skill, but it's using your mind and your knowledge of the environment and taking everything in.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, that was quite a hard task for us to do, because in extremely hard games and stuff like that, as soon as you get stuck, it makes you, and you get frustrated, it makes you want to turn off the game. But we did not want that. We wanted lower skilled players to have the same amount of enjoyment as the more highly skilled players. So we've made it quite open-ended in that sense. So purely by exploration, you can actually get through the game and experience some of the core elements of the game, get through all the environments and finish it, but you may not have a full understanding of why you were there.
Right.
And then only by exploring more thoroughly and solving the harder puzzles, you get more of the background narrative. So we've kind of gone for that setup, so we can get some very hard puzzles in there, but also make it accessible for other people.
I was going to say, like, quite a lot of the stuff that I had to do in the demo was very sort of lateral thinking based. I mean, like, you had the sort of obligatory replace the fuse, but then sort of once I got my super sweet magical powers, everything kind of jumped the shark a bit, and I thought it was great.
No, that's
like,
go on, sorry.
So sort of, I mean, you say that you want the game to be hard, but I mean, is it really possible in a narrative-based story game to have actual difficulty elements?
Yeah, exactly. That was another element that we really had to consider, because with a very linear game, it's easy to tell a narrative. And then because we want the difficulty, but we also want to make it accessible. So like people may not get certain elements of the narrative. How do you kind of tell that story? So we have gated the player in certain respects in each area, but it's through pure exploration and finding certain elements within those areas that then you can progress. So you still pick up parts of the story, and we deliver it in a stacked method, so depending on what part, it'll all be in the same order. So it won't.
I'm now gonna say something that I say about all games. Oh, like Dark Souls then.
Yeah, I mean, we're definitely inspired by that, and it's a good way of telling the narrative. I think Dark Souls. I was just having a conversation with a game developer the other day about Dark Souls, and them telling a lot of the story through the environment. And
with Dark Souls, it's all through like item description, and like it seemed to be a lot of that. Like I was reading additional excerpts and sort of getting a feel for the background of the story, which is something that I really. So it's a good way of telling a story without forcing it down your throat.
For sure, and that really got me thinking of some interesting things just last week. So we're definitely still iterating on things, and we're trying different things out. But yeah, that's definitely an inspiration.
Ah, smooth. Man, it's always nice to actually recognise things and be right. It doesn't happen often.
Yeah.
So what are you trying to achieve with this game? I mean, are you trying to tell a story that's important to you, or is it just sort of a cool story told?
Yeah, I mean, quite a few people on the team have had family members experience things like dementia and stuff. So I think, especially the narrative writer Ben, he felt that was a pretty close subject to his heart. And so it's about telling an important story and telling it in an interesting way, but also having interesting gameplay around that. And we didn't want we wanted the gameplay to hold up to the narrative. We didn't want it to feel dry in any way.
Yeah.
And so we do. I don't know if you finished the demo, but we do have places where the intensity and pacing ramps up in the game.
Yeah.
While the player still has full control, so you can still move around in that environment where those intense situations are happening. So hopefully the gameplay will be just as interesting as the narrative. But
awesome.
We'll see what we think.
I really, really enjoy sort of stuff like that when something sort of badass is happening, like in Half-Life 2 when the teleporter starts fucking up, and you as a player are like jibbing out yourself. It really adds to the experience.
Yeah. I mean, we definitely, like me as a gameplay designer, I love those kind of games. I love the Half-Lives, and I love the first couple of Bioshocks, and I love those kind of in-game cinematics where they don't take control away from you, but things are happening in the world, which makes you feel more immersed in it. And I definitely want to bring that over because the style of game is more orientated towards like the Myst games where you're writing things down to solve the puzzles, and we do want that difficulty in there, like I said. But I also like those those cool moments in games that make you feel like you're really part of the story, and so we're definitely trying to bring those into it as well.
I got to say, the thing that sort of got me immersion-wise the most was that calendar puzzle.
Yeah,
like that kind of blew my mind a little bit.
Oh, that's cool. I mean, program it.
Obviously, I put like the month as Satan first because.
Well, that's what's so cool about the kind of gameplay systems that we have in place, because we have a writing mechanic where you can write on blackboards and calendars and sign-in sheets. People can write what the hell they want. I mean, it kind of creates something interesting at the end of the game, and we actually have another part. There's like a hub place in the world, and you can actually store items there, and it'd be interesting to see how people and what people do with their items there. It's something that isn't in the demo, but yeah, all those kind of things is like you create the game mechanics and then you kind of just throw it out there for people to just destroy and do whatever they want.
Man.
So it'd be cool to see what they do.
I gotta say, speaking of game mechanics, this whole holding one item at a time thing, what inspired that? I mean, like...
Yeah, so the main inspiration for me was that I didn't want puzzles to be easy to solve, and I didn't want trial and error puzzles. So especially if you have every single item in the game world, you could just click and one of the items would go there, or you'd have to pull up an inventory to select which item you want to use. And I just feel like that's too long-winded, and we don't really want to use UI in that respect.
Yeah.
So the one item... I was thinking about it and we prototyped it, and then I actually played the Cave, the Double Fine game, and they have in there, and I thought it worked so well. And so I definitely wanted to drive that home, and we had a few strong discussions in the team about maybe being able to pick up multiple items, but I definitely wanted to stick to my guns on that one and keep the one item, because I definitely think it makes that item that you're carrying more interesting.
Well, I definitely found myself looking at the item that I was carrying more, because I was like, holy shit, is it this? Am I looking at this wrong?
Yeah.
Whereas, like, say you're playing Monkey Island, eventually you just end up like with pockets full of guff that you just shove into it, and it stops it from being exercised in thought.
Yeah, exactly.
And becomes
That's exactly what we're going for. And I want the item that you're carrying to be meaningful and have a purpose. So I mean, I'm not happy with the way it's implemented in the demo fully. We're still iterating on that, just to do with interaction. And we think if you're watching any gameplay video from this interview, like when you click on an item, it automatically swaps them.
Yeah.
I think we're at the moment implementing a system where if you click it, it brings it up to examine, and then if you click, it puts it back down, or you can right click to store it.
Yeah.
So you can still inspect, because one thing we found from the demo was people were almost scared to pick up items because they were going to lose the item that they had. So we just want to make, all them nice little tweaks, hopefully will create a good game experience.
Man, I've got no doubt that it's going to be at least memorable. Because, like, there's... I don't know, like, I grew up in a Cornish fishing town. So, did
you know? Sorry to totally interrupt you there, but
no.
Did you know our game is based in Cornwall?
I did know. I did, in fact, know this, which is why I was saying it. No, so it was really interesting to see, because I mean, I played one game, like Mystery of the Druids or something, that was based in Cornwall. So it's really unusual to see a game set I mean, it's not like a real place, is it?
Well,
Well,
we've got like through the studio, we've got maybe 100 images of Cornwall plastered on the walls, and we've got loads of reference images. So as you get through the game, if you Googled like Cornwall mines or Cornwall industrial areas, you'll notice parts in the game. We don't want to just make it purely history based, but
yeah.
definitely a lot of the level design has been inspired by places like Delvin Mine and Gievortin Mine, any places like, I don't know if you guys know them.
Yeah, no, like that's where our school trips go. Like everyone else gets to go to the zoo, we get to go to these terrifying places where people died.
They're so cool, like such big industrial spaces. I'd love to go on a school trip there. They look like such insane places.
You'd think that, but it's literally just a hole. Like there's no magical powers. There's no lanterns that reconstruct.
No restorations in there. Oh man, right, I didn't think about that. Must suck.
I don't know, like it was really cool to see something mundane from my childhood put onto a screen, like in this really weird art style of yours. Like all the textures sort of remind me of The Walking Dead a little bit.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I mean, we've gone for a low poly hand painted style, but that was, I mean, the main decision to do that was the size of our team.
Yeah.
It's much easier to create low poly hand painted assets, just a much quicker production time, and it also lends itself to a really interesting visual style that you don't necessarily see too much. So yeah, that's how we came across that.
I was going to say, from an aesthetic point of view, it's really nice to see an indie game that's not sort of just all low light and confusion. Ah, man. Also, object-based puzzles are the fucking boy. Just get that out there. Also, I really like your aesthetic with the sort of the laboratory at the start and the way that everything sort of panels in, almost like in Portal 2, but with more sort of what's the name of those leather sofas?
I'm not sure which leather sofas.
I don't know. They're red. You see them in smoking rooms, or at least you used to.
Oh yeah, we've got a couple of them in our studio right now.
You lucky devil.
We got given 2 for free. We didn't even pay for them. And they're in the game now, so we modeled them, textured them, and they're actually in the game. And actually, yeah, I won't go further than that, but they do make an appearance in the game in an important place.
Shit. Oh man, speaking of, like, okay, so this is Ether 1.
Yep.
Why have you decided to go for a multiple part thing?
So, as most developers do, we got too ambitious with the game.
Yeah.
And we didn't want to cut out chunks. We thought it was a really important story to tell.
Yeah.
And the environments that we were going to design in were really cool, and we didn't want to cut any, well, there wasn't too much fat to cut from it. So rather than spending a long time producing a really large scale game, because this game is looking to be maybe 6 hours, 7 hours long.
Really?
Depending on how you approach puzzles and stuff like that. Don't hold me to that time, but it's looking to be around there.
Shit.
So it's quite a large game, and we're hoping to put a lot of polish and quality into it. We really want to drive home that feeling. We don't just want it to be like just another indie game.
Yeah.
So we definitely feel that's important to us. And it also allows us to put something out there and see what people think of it, and maybe give us feedback on what they thought could be different, and you know, how we could maybe change up the gameplay, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then also allows us to, I mean, it's not like a 2-part game like a Fallout. It's 2 completely separate games, so we can mix up the gameplay and make things like going into the mines. We can really do some crazy stuff once we've laid the foundation.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think the main decision was that we didn't want to take too much away from it, and that, therefore we put it out in 2 parts.
That's fair enough. Like, I'm one of the things that I despise is when content creators are forced, you know, by time constraints or anything like that, to sort of cut back content. So the fact that people are going to get, you know, 2 games worth of content out of you guys in this unique style, I think is a good thing.
Oh, that's cool.
Just gonna throw that out there.
Oh, that's cool to hear.
I don't know, like, I mean, do you have any inspirations as far as this kind of game goes? I mean, obviously you said Myst, and Myst is a fucking classic.
Yeah, exactly. Everyone's played Myst, and what I really liked about Myst is that even my mom could play it, so she loves that game.
Yeah.
She has a Steam account, but she has maybe 2 or 3 games on that Steam account, like Plants vs Zombies and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And there are so many games that are just inaccessible to her. So she sees me playing Half-Life when I was like 15 or something, and she could not play it, with the keyboard and mouse. She couldn't get the precision right and stuff like that, coordination. So it definitely inspired me to create a game that wasn't timed based, that players could take at their own pace. But like I said, we were still inspired by those AAA games, so we wanted to bring elements in that. I think different people are inspired by different things, but a lot of the narrative, I think Ben writing the narrative has been inspired by like Philip K. Dick and the movie Jacob's Ladder and stuff like that.
That's just awesome.
A lot of book and film reference, especially for the narrative. I don't think the narrative's really been inspired by games, but yeah, I guess you just get inspiration from all over the place. You don't even realize you're being inspired until it's in there. People start making those relationships between our game and others, really.
Yeah. Well, I'm just still sort of. We've just got to sort of the exterior of the mine now, and we've seen the foreman's note, and I'm just loving all of this, like the sort of hidden depth of it. I mean, accessibility is such a filthy word in the games industry at the moment. Like, accessibility is all very well and good, but you said that you're going to make this a hard game.
Yep.
How are you going to make it hard, but still have your mum be clicking away?
That's the hardest part, right? So you can make a game hard, but then it isolates a certain percentage of people because they just get frustrated because everyone thinks differently. That's the hardest part. If I was just designing for me, then that'd be easier because I know how I think and I could design that.
Yeah.
It's hard when you get, especially other people playing your game, and it's just like, how are they not getting this? Like, that's so easy. That's what I thought was easy. So there's no gauge on what's hard and what's easy apart from doing time-based things or adding more enemies or doing stuff like that. So we don't have any of that in our game. So
I was going to say, there's very little artificial difficulty in your game. It's all sort of very fluid and based around exploration rather than dodging bullets.
So like the base layer of our game is purely exploration and checking your environment and finding these small things that unlock bits of narrative. That's the core part of the gameplay. So I guess you could have that style of experience by just walking around and not. I mean, maybe you'll find a puzzle here and there, you want to solve them, but you won't get the full experience. But then having those almost, I guess you call them side quests of the harder puzzles.
Yeah.
That you can really ramp up the difficulty and have different styles of puzzles, like object-based puzzles or mechanical puzzles, audio puzzles. We can pace them out like that, and then people can kind of take chunks out of the level, I guess, and solving more puzzles. And if they get stuck, go and explore another area and maybe figure out more of the narrative. And we're trying to lay some foreshadowing in there, so you might go back and realize that a certain thing made sense there, and hopefully people will just be able to take the game at their own pace and not get frustrated by any kind of difficulty, but we still do want a difficult game.
Yeah, so it's sort of, I mean, is there anything sinister to this? I mean, I don't want you to give anything away about the narrative, but
so basically they all die at the end.
Oh, well, that's a given, right?
That's the ending. Oh, you wake up and it's all a dream. That's how it's gonna end.
Well, it's an indie game. It's either a dream or someone's. Wait.
Take away from the sinisterness as much as from the demo, I guess. I guess you get a hint of that.
I did feel a little bit sort of like when I went off the beaten path in the laboratory, and they were like, "You're not supposed to be down here."
So I mean, I don't know. Do you think our game's sinister? I'm interested.
I think all games are sinister,
right?
In their way. I think I think some games are sinister because they have you mowing down innocent civilians. I think that this game is sinister because something's not quite right.
Yeah.
Like it's got all these brightly coloured, hand-painted environments, but then they're like, "You're going into the human mind. Try not to fuck up, yeah?"
Yeah. We kind of want it to be awkwardly nice, like uncomfortable to listen.
Yeah.
And so that relationship definitely evolves into something bigger in the game. But
awesome.
Yeah, I don't really want to talk too much about that stuff.
No. I don't blame you. Like, I don't want to ruin it for anyone else. Oh shit! I'm so. Okay, so when's sort of the release window for this? What are you looking at?
Yeah, that's a good question to ask. Very good question. To be honest with you, every 3 months it changes. So ask us again in 3 months and it'll probably be different. We want the game to a good standard. I reckon it'll be done towards the end of the summer, like September, October time. But the problem is, it takes a long time to polish the game, and we really don't want to push it out there until all the narrative feels really good and all the puzzles make sense. And if we have to delete stuff, we'll delete it. And it gets to that point where, like, especially from creating this demo, we move things around a lot, and that end 10% almost takes 90% of your time. So it's like, you hear about it in the games industry all the time. I'll be like, oh, it's done when it's done, or blah, blah, blah. I mean, we don't want to say that, but I mean, we are really hoping to get it out before Christmas this year. But we don't want to release in December or January because that's just a bad time for games to release.
Yeah.
So we hope at the end of the year. If not, it'll be as soon as we can in the start of the new year.
That's pretty excellent, to be honest. I mean, like, I really want to know what happens, which bugs me.
I'll tell you right now if you want.
No, I'm good, okay? I want to find out by using my magical hand lantern and by swapping items places.
Exactly. That'd be the more interesting approach.
Exactly. Okay, so we're in the mine, okay? People are talking in note form.
Yep. Yeah, so with the notes, we realized this from the demo, it's a mistake on our part. It's like, I like narrative in worlds, and I like, where it's almost like a story just told in the environment, and you interpret it however you want, and it feels like you've just discovered something.
Yeah.
I want that with the notes, and I think one thing when you're designing puzzles and stuff in games, it's very easy to throw down a note to give a clue, and we want to strip away as much of that as possible. If we do have a note, we want it to be meaningful and interesting to read. I've learned a lot from playing The Last of Us recently about their note implementation, and it only ever backs up part of the story. You don't necessarily need to find that note, but if you do, it makes that story so much more interesting.
I was going to say, like, a lot of games use sort of these audio logs and stuff like that, and
which is cool. I mean, I really like stuff like that in like Doom 3 and whatnot.
Yeah.
But I want to try and give hints to the puzzles more through the environment. So say you are solving that calendar puzzle, I'd like environmental hints about what date it might be and stuff like that instead of finding a note. We still want notes in there, but we want it to back up the experience more than just finding too many notes, because it gets frustrating, doesn't it?
Rather than sort of having notes and stuff, what I found when I was playing the demo was when I found that the machinery, the sort of profile picture of it, where like I was like, wow, this is a lot of information. This is therefore going to be an important piece of paper. So I kept that piece of paper, and it, like, because of that, it felt sort of, I don't know, if I'd had a pocket, I would have put it there.
Yeah.
But I did not have pockets. I had my lovely right hand. Okay, so, god damn, I can't handle how these textures look. It's confusing to me.
Oh, it's very kind of you to say. Our artists very hard on producing that.
So you're sort of the project lead on this, right?
I like the thing that everyone in the studio has lead in the project. Everyone has input on the design. I guess I'd be the
that means yes.
All games design, maybe. But everyone seriously has input on the design. Programmers, artists, audio guys, everyone has input.
That's pretty slick. Like, I mean, your art design is clearly great. Your narrative design is compelling, to say the least. I mean, I just used a broken bottle to slash, like, vent things. That's smart.
That's cool, right? Thank you.
That's smart as fuck.
I really like that. Some people don't like it. I'm just like, we're keeping that in there because that's cool to do.
Like, I was wandering around with this bottle for fucking ages, just like, why do I have a bottle?
Yep.
It's got a long word on it, so it must be the next thing. Then I smashed it, and I was like, the long word had nothing to do with it.
It's like that revelation, isn't it? It's like, oh.
There's been, like, I really do like games with eureka moments, and this sort of had epiphanies where something sort of clicked. Like, when I figured out the date, I was like, oh, shit, it's 1919. Excellent.
It's cool to design those. I like the phrase eureka moment, and I want to create as many of those in game as possible. The only problem is, when you're designing, you don't really think it's a eureka moment because you thought it in the first place.
Yeah.
So it's very hard until people playtest and think that it's cool or not that it works. So hopefully we'll get more of them in there, but that's definitely a good example of one.
Ah, man. Okay, so we've got about 2 minutes left. So Ether 1 is on Greenlight, right?
Yeah, we literally just got Greenlight about 2 weeks ago, the week before Rezzed, so that was a really good week for us. We got Greenlight on Steam, and then we had Rezzed, and we had tons of great feedback, loads of people playing our game at Rezzed. So we are actually greenlit. So now we're on Steam. It definitely makes us feel a lot more relaxed about having a good distribution platform, and a few other distributors have contacted us, which it just makes us feel really comfortable knowing that people are being supportive of our game and are interested in what we're doing. So really good of everyone to vote on Steam Greenlight. We really, really appreciate that loads.
And this is like your first project, right? Like white papers.
Yeah, this is our first game. So hopefully it'll be a decent outing as our first title.
If you're going to make a 6-hour-long first-person puzzle game with blue rocks that make your eyes hurt, that's pretty great.
Yeah, we kind of set the bar a bit too high for ourselves, maybe.
Yeah, what are you going to do with Ether 2? Are you going to like make dragons come out of the screen?
Yeah, we will make dragons, and we'll make realistic fire, and we'll do all that kind of stuff. We might even put shotguns in there as well.
Speaking of dragons coming out of the screen, what is this Oculus Rift thing?
So yeah, we got our Oculus developer kit.
Yeah.
We didn't want to really say that we were going to use it with the game until we had tried it out for ourselves. It really does feel really nice when you got on and you're walking through this world. I think Ether plays really well into the Rift, and it's fun to just wander around in there. And quite a few people. I mean, we had a 2.5-hour queue at Rezzed for people wanting to try it on the Rift, which was awesome. So
shit is getting intense in the game. This in Oculus is going to be crazy.
It is very good. What? But all that part is like what we were talking about with the intensity and the pacing in the game. We do want to ramp up the situation in those situations. But you still have full control. You still have full look, full forward, left, backwards. It's like an elastic band effect. So if you try and run away, you just get snapped back in. I don't like taking control away from the player. So those kind of moments allow lower skilled people to just sit back and enjoy it, or other people can try and pull against the band and maybe find certain things that they shouldn't have found and interesting things, But yeah, full control in that end sequence.
That's absolutely fucking crazy, and this has been an absolute pleasure as well. I mean, we're out of time now, sadly, but I mean, this has been Kilobits talking to Pete Bottomley, the core game designer of Ether 1, and thank you so much.
Oh, thank you very much for taking the time out of your day to chat to us. It's cool to just speak to people about it.
So, thanks very much, Pete, for talking to us. We've been the Kilobits. If you like the video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you like the Kilobits in general, don't forget to head over to Facebook. We're facebook.com/the Kilobits, and we're also on Twitter at the Kilobits. See you next time.
Found